He says, "What's up, Chad and Zach? Other than Garett Bolles at left tackle, do you think all other starting O-line positions are up for grabs in Denver? Or do you think there are any other starting fixtures, Cush and or Reisner, on the hot seat? Go Broncos." Well, I'll tell you this new scheme coming in with the wide zone, relative to what the Broncos have ran since, let's just say, Reisner and Bolles came together in 2019, it's much more going to prioritize the type of players that you can remember, all right, from the Shanahan era. The athletes, the guys that can, maybe they're not as heavy or powerful, but they have a little bit of athletic twitch. They can move laterally. They're smart between the ears. That's what this scheme is going to demand from its offensive line. I think Dalton Reisner, I don't really worry too much about him. As far as, taking to the new blocking system. The Broncos, look, I know it was the previous regime, but even last year, they doggedly, Zach, stood by Dalton Reisner, even when he was not good at all. I mean, it's one thing to say, he's an average left guard and go about your life. It's another thing to say, like, at times last season, Dalton Reisner was turning in bottom third level play at left guard. Then you get to Lloyd Cushenberry. I'm not sure he's going to be the greatest fit for this scheme. It would not surprise me, Zach, to see the Broncos either just straight up supplant him with Graham Glasgow at center, or make him compete with Graham for center. Quinn Miners is going to be tailor-made for this scheme at right guard. Right tackle, we still don't know who it's going to be, right? So that's still up in the air. But to answer the question specifically, I think it's pretty safe, as you mentioned, Sam Bam, to pencil in Garett Bolles, pencil in Dalton Reisner, and pencil in Graham Glasgow. The question on Miners, question on Glasgow is where, right? And that's why if you really want to make sure, Zach, for now, let's say you want the best four out there on the field because we don't know who right tackle is going to be yet, then you got to sit down Lloyd Cushenberry and let Graham Glasgow snap the ball.
Yeah, I think it's unrealistic to expect the Broncos to replace like 4 starting linemen. So some are going to be grandfathered to positions by default pretty much. I would maybe bring back Bobby Massey as insurance on a 1-year deal. If anything, if you can't draft a high-rated tackle, you have competency at right tackle with Massey. I like what I saw from him last year. Obviously, Garett Bolles is a lock. It all depends on what Butch Barry wants to do. The deviation going away from Mike Munchak's scheme. And, you mentioned, Chad, that Dalton Reisner didn't pop last year. He kind of fell off. Who really did pop, though, other than maybe Quinn Miners for a stretch of the season? I think it said more to the scheme and Mike Munchak's not being this, mastermind like he was painted out to be, at least with the Broncos. So maybe Barry will be more conducive for someone like Dalton Reisner, more of that kind of scheme. Cushenberry, I think, is on the hot seat. I think Glasgow could play center. I think that's a more of a natural position for him. They have their right guard in Quinn Miners, and like I mentioned, Bobby Massey, right tackle. So I'm going to say 2 spots are up for grabs, and I think 3 are pretty much solidified.
And Glasgow, for what it's worth, I mean, one of the things that was intriguing about him, and one of the reasons he was probably one of the top 2 or 3 interior guys most coveted in that free agent class a couple years ago, was the fact that he can play. He's position versatile in that you can play him at either guard spot or center. He started games in Detroit at center. And get out there and try something different, because there's so much to like, Zach, about Lloyd Cushenberry, especially his leadership acumen, his character. He's a very, very smart player, but he's just not quite been ready for the NFL, specifically in terms of power, dealing with power. Now, this type of scheme that's coming to Denver, look, it might be able to kind of camouflage that a little bit more, because it's not going to be so much man-on-man, Zach, phone booth blocking where I just got to win my assignment here. You're getting guys out on the move. You're getting them out on stretches. Yeah. And when that happens, they can live a little bit more by their wits. They can live a little bit more on their athleticism is going to serve them more. Whereas the way it's been in Denver, he wasn't strong enough to be that pivot in a gap-centric man-on-man type of blocking scheme. But I really like Lloyd Cushenberry, and he represents a, high round, premium round. Anything between rounds 1 and 3 is considered a premium round draft pick in the league. And he represents an investment by the team. I'd love to see him work out far more, by the way, than seeing Graham Glasgow come in on a reduced contract and do well, because then you're going to have to figure out what to do with him. Whereas you've got Lloyd this year, you got him next year, and then he becomes a free agent. It's more in Denver's interest for Lloyd Cushenberry to work out, but it's not based on, wishes and whatnot. If ifs and buts were candy and nuts, that's the NFL. It's about, what have you done for me lately? What are you doing for me today? Can you cut the mustard? It's a production-based business, and we'll find out pretty quick once they get to training camp anyway, whether or not Lloyd Cushenberry is going to be able to cut that mustard.
Well, you can't have Pro Bowlers at every position. So, you have a stud left tackle. I mean, you have a promising right guard. You brought back Glasgow, who you think can maybe make do at center. If they retain Cushenberry, great. But if they feel like they can upgrade on him under Hackett and under Outen, under Butch Berry, then so be it. What I like about Lloyd, though, is that he's reliable. He played every snap his rookie year. I think if he didn't play every snap last year, he played 98 or 99% of snaps.
I'm pretty sure he was 100% again.
Availability is key in the NFL. He might not be the best prospect, but the law of averages dictates that at least one guy will benefit from the scheme change, going from Munchak to Berry and going from Pat Shurmur's offense to Hackett's offense, whether that's Reisner or Cushenberry or even Glasgow, anyone on that O-line. Muti, they're going to have a couple guys blossom, and we'll see what happens with Cush along the way.